First Unitarian Universalist Church of Niagara Falls. Our opening words this morning come from Ben Soule.
Now, hold on a second. They can't hear you.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why. Maybe the volume needs to be turned up on the television.
Yeah, I turned mine up.
Oh. She said she can hear on that speaker, but not from these speakers.
Okay.
You want to say something, Donna? Let's see.
Sure. Good morning, everybody. I'm
That's good.
coming to you from sunny Flagstaff. It is pretty nice the way the sun shines here all the time. Are we ready to start then? The opening words this morning are from Ben Soule. We feel the season turning, the early sunset glancing through the red-tinged leaves, the newspaper arriving in the cool morning air, the flock of migrating swallows, a feeling of being on the edge of something new. These are the days of awe, a time to welcome a new year and a time to make the old year right before we lay it in its place on the shelf of our memories. We bless the wine and drink. We bless the braided bread and eat. We dapple in honey and savor its sweetness. May the sound of the shofar, which is a ram's horn trumpet, carry us across the threshold where lie the possibilities we imagine for ourselves and our children. And we'll move on to the chalice lighting. Someone will light the chalice for me. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, Spirit of Freedom. And our first hymn is number 11, O God of Stars and Sunlight. And now is the time for our responsive reading, which is in the back of the hymnal.
We're still singing, Donna.
Still singing, okay. I can't hear a thing. Sorry. Oh, now I can hear it.
Yeah, I held the mic up to her piano. I'll do that.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead. You can go ahead, Donna.
Okay. Our responsive reading this morning is 634 on turning. It's in the back of your hymnal. Give you a couple of minutes to find it. Now is the time for turning.
The leaves are beginning to turn from green to orange, red and orange.
The birds are beginning to turn and are heading once more toward the south.
The animals are beginning to turn to storing their food for the winter.
For leaves, birds, and animals, turning comes instinctively.
But for us, turning does not come so easily.
It takes an act of will for us to make a turn. It means breaking with old habits.
It means admitting that we have been wrong, and this is never easy.
It means losing face. It means starting all over again. And this is always painful.
It means saying, I am sorry.
It means recognizing that we have the ability to change. These things are hard to do.
But unless we turn, we will be trapped forever in yesterday's ways.
God help us to turn from callousness to sensitivity, from hostility to love, from pettiness to purpose, from envy to contentment, from carelessness to discipline, from fear to faith. Revive our lives as at the beginning.
And turn us toward each other, God, for in isolation there is no life.
Okay, next we will honor the joys and concerns of our members of our congregation. Each week we come into this church bearing the joys and concerns of our lives. At this time, we'd like to share some of the more significant events that have happened in this past week. So please come up, take the mic, and tell us about your joys or your sorrows, and light a candle for yourself and those around you who share your feelings. Do we have someone who'd like to start us off?
Yes, I would. I am joyful that the technology seems to be working. I was really sweating bullets about this. And I also had a wonderful time yesterday at the No Kings rally. We probably had several thousand people in Williamsville, a lot more than we did the last time, and it was a lot of fun. People were very creative in their costumes and their signs. It was we had a group of men drumming and playing whistles, playing songs on whistles. It was very fun.
Great. Do you have anyone else with a joy or a concern that they would like to share?
Kathy's coming up.
I was in downtown Buffalo for the protest, and I just wanted to reiterate what Teresa had to say. I guess it feels like the only thing I can do at this point. It's heartening to see all of those who share my views and are standing up to try to save our democracy. So I'd like to light a candle for whoever is organizing, and I had gotten a lot of emails once you express an interest, a lot of emails supporting this, taking the opportunity to express our concerns about losing our democracy.
I think we're all with you on that one. Do we have more joys and concerns? Okay, maybe not. Perhaps someone could light one last candle for all of our unspoken joys and concerns, and then we'll move on to the offering. I'd like to have just a moment of silent reflection. We're not going to have a meditation reading today. We're going to have some special music from Patty, but let's just take 1 minute and reflect on our joys and concerns and how we feel about our church. Okay, Patty, are you ready?
I think so.
Once upon another time, somebody's hands that felt like mine turned the key and took a drive and was free. Highway curved, the sun sank low. Buckley on the radio, the cigarette was burning slow. So breathe, just yellow lines and tire marks and sun-kissed skin and handlebars. And where I stood was where I was to be. No enemies to call searchlight on to pull me home, and where I was is beautiful because I was free. Ah, ah, once upon another time, before I knew which life was mine, before I felt the child behind me, I saw myself in summer nights, and stars lit up like candlelight. I make my wish, but mostly I believed in yellow lines and tire marks, the sun-kissed skin and handlebars, and where I stood was where I was to be. Once upon another time, I decided nothing good in dying, so I'd keep on driving because I was free.
Beautiful. Sara Bareilles never fails to inspire me with her songs. And I'm wondering, just what do the phrases from the song that we just heard mean to you? Think of the words, turned the key and took a drive, was free. Recall the sun sank low, sun-kissed skin and handlebars, and where I stood was where I was to be. When you hear those lyrics, how do you feel about them? I know how I feel. I return to my childhood. I grew up on an island that was also a delta, which meant that it had dikes all the way around its circumference because it was below sea level. Free time for me meant packing a lunch, getting on my bike, and riding along those dikes with a friend. In the summers, we were both tanned, sun-kissed, and definitely carefree other than the few chores that our parents required from us. Memories of those days bring back my childhood and warm my soul. These days, we talk a lot about triggers, but usually we talk about triggers in relation to reacting or thinking about negative things. Today, I want to talk about good triggers, like the memories that Bareilles' song brings up. Let's talk about the things that trigger good thoughts, pleasant experiences. I want us to be reminded of warm, sunny days and bright, starlit nights because there is transcendence in those moments. I'm currently reading a book of poems by Mary Oliver called Devotions. It contains poems about dogs, poems about nature, poems about our higher power or the universe. Here is a piece of one of those poems, which is called Drifting. I was enjoying everything, the rain, the path, wherever it was taking me. The earth roots beginning to stir. I didn't intend to start thinking about God, it just happened. How God, or the gods, are invisible, quite understandable, but holiness is visible entirely. These days, how much time do you allot for yourself to drift or to turn the key and drive or just be where you are meant to be? How about one of our other Unitarian Universalist treasures, Henry David Thoreau and Walden Pond? As we know, Thoreau lived on Walden Pond for 2 years in a very simple home that he built for himself. He did this because he valued nature and self-sufficiency, and he wanted to live as simply and deeply as possible. Thoreau believed any material life beyond the four basics, food, shelter, clothing, and fuel, creates barriers between physical reality and spiritual reality. Thoreau's time at Walden Pond was an experiment to see how leanly he could live and what effect that would have on his spirit. He talks about observing young men, his neighbors, who had inherited farms and thereby become serfs of the soil, as he calls them. He writes, they have got to live a man's life, pushing all of these things before them and get on as well as they can. How many a poor immortal soul have I met, well nigh crushed and smothered under its load, creeping down the road of life. We don't need to be farmers right now to feel crushed and smothered under the roads of life, which is why we need to seek out those happy triggers brought to light in the song, Once Upon Another Time. And we need to use those triggers to connect us to our own Walden ponds, to the dikes, the beaches, the lakes, to whatever once made beautiful, comforting memories for us, to reconnect to just being and to being free. There is more to reflect to the effects of communing with nature than the ephemeral reasons that Thoreau and Oliver give us. In a recent article by Jessica Magala in AARP magazine called Reclaim Your Spark, we find a scientific explanation of why nature is so important to our bodies. Everyone here probably recognizes the word mitochondria. Mitochondria are the energy processors of our cells. They do the heavy lifting, especially when it comes to the activities of daily life, according to Ian Lanza, who is a professor of medicine at the Mayo Clinic College of Medicine and Science. As we age, however, our cells become less efficient. The demand on the mitochondria grows, and cells go into overdrive. Melanin production is reduced, and presto, you have gray hair. You begin to feel a little less energetic. One key is to having fewer deficits in the function of your mitochondria is, drum roll here, physical activity and being outdoors in nature. Nature is restorative. It's an antidote to mental burnout and stress. A light 3-minute walk taken every 30 minutes or so helps fatigue. Plus, you sleep better, and good restorative sleep gives your body time to work on repairing and regenerating your cells. How do you think Thoreau slept after a good day of physical labor at Walden Pond? How do you think Mary Oliver felt after a long walk on the beach with her dog? How do you think they felt years later thinking about those once upon another times? Imagine taking your 3-minute walk and thinking about a summer picnic, a fall walk, or a winter evening, bundled up and sitting around a fire pit. Isn't that going to restore your spirit more than a TV show or a post on Facebook or Instagram? Not long ago, I read about a National Geographic documentary called Blink. It's not associated with the book of the same name. It is the story of a family from Montreal, Canada, that took a year to travel around the world for a very specific reason. The family consists of the parents, Edith LeMay and Sebastian Pelletier, and their 4 children, Mia, 13, Leo, 11, Colin, 9, and Laurent, 4. 3 of their children inherited a gene from both parents that is causing them to lose their sight. This disease, retinitis pigmentosa, was affecting Mia, Leo, and Laurent. When they discovered that their 3rd child, Laurent, had it, Edith and Sebastian were devastated. There is no treatment for the disease, but as normal parents, they felt they needed to do something, as we all would in this situation. So their ophthalmologist suggested one thing they could do was create as many visual memories for the children as possible, so that when the darkness set in, they would have pictures in their minds of the beauty of the world. Of course, she was really suggesting just show them books, take them to movies, whatever the kids could still see and experience. But Edith and Sebastian wanted more for their kids, so they set out to plan a bucket list trip. They wanted their children to make their visual memories in real life, memories they could draw on as their sight narrowed until it disappears completely. They started out with a bucket list generated by a brainstorming session that included all 4 of the kids. And the very first thing on the list, and one that everyone agreed on, was a safari. This took them to Namibia. Then there was watching the sun come up over a mountain, the Himalayas. They wanted to walk in the rainforest, so they went to Ecuador. In all, the Pelletier family went to 24 countries. Not every day was perfect. They got stuck in a gondola in Ecuador for more than 9 hours, which was terrifying for Mia, because by then she could not see anything in the dark. For her, it was a precursor of what to come. By the end of the trip, they had completed all of the items on the bucket list, and the children gained even more than visual memories. They had played soccer with local friends they had made in the Himalayas. They had shot darts out of blowpoints pipes in Ecuador with even more young friends they made. And they had learned to surf and slept on a train. They learned to be adventurers and to be brave, which was something they were going to need in their futures. It wasn't easy for the Pelletiers to go on this trip. The parents agonized about how to finance it, but fortunately, they found a way when the company that Sebastian worked for was sold and he was able to cash in his stock. The Pelletiers recognized that life experience was way more valuable for their kids than a finer home or more things. As Thoreau says in reference to his neighbor farmers, by a seeming fate, commonly called necessity, they are employed laying up treasures, which moth and rust will corrupt, and thieves will break in and steal. It is a fool's life, as they will find when they get to the end of it, if not before. In today's world, we often feel like our things own us rather than the other way around. We spend our time on things the way that our ancestors once cared for the earth and the trees and their gardens. Our things have to be charged and cleaned. They need tune-ups and oil changes. They need repairs. They have to be replaced because they've gone out of date or there's an upgrade on the market now. We no longer make just enough money like Thoreau to fulfill our necessities. We have to make enough to support our expensive things. Let's not forget that working for these things takes away from the time we have to cultivate our spiritual practices, the ones that remind us we were once free and we have a great need to experience those feelings of freedom again. Let's take a page from the Pelletiers' book and remember that living, real living, means lifelong learning. We should never stop making our own bucket lists, even when we are aging and our lives, like the Pelletier children's site, are becoming narrower and narrower. We live in very challenging times. We are all in the process of learning to cope with those challenges. The one thing we can do to cope is to keep learning. Another is to take the time to summon up and enjoy those old good triggers, the warm sunny days of our youth, the laughter of children and friends and family, the pleasure of peak leaf seasons such as we're now experiencing, which come around every year. We can make the time to create new memories and to teach those around us, our kids or grandkids if we have them, that living those memories is essential to having a spiritual, even sane life. Plus, it'll rejuvenate our mitochondria. These days, we can't let children wander around like the feral beings we once were, and we can't all afford to take them on a trip around the world. But we still want the young people in our lives to form memories they can bring out when life gets challenging. Memories that, even when they feel that they have the weight of the world on their shoulders, will remind them what it was like to be free. We might have to be more structured about those drives in the country, those bicycle rides, those sun-kissed summer days. But in remembering our own carefree days, we can help the younger people in our lives realize how important it is to experience those special days and to hold them as memories for their future needs when they become overwhelmed and burned out on the responsibilities of life. My visual memories are just as important to me as the Pelletier kids' visual memories will be to them. I hope yours are to you, because even if we have sight under the weight of the world, there will be days when we simply can't see what path the universe is taking us on. Those are the days to remember just yellow lines and tire marks, sun-kissed skin, and handlebars, and standing where we want to be because we were free. So be it, and blessed be. And our second hymn is In the Sweet Fields of Autumn.
In sweet fields of autumn,
closing words come from the Boda Vista Prayer for Humanity. May I be a guard for those who need protection, a guide for those on the path, a boat, a raft, a bridge for those who wish to cross the flood. May I be a lamp in the darkness, a resting place for the weary, a healing medicine for all who are sick, a vase of plenty, a tree of miracles, and for the boundless multitudes of living beings, may I bring sustenance and awakening, enduring like the earth and sky, until all beings are freed from sorrow and all are awakened. Now, take a deep breath and be still for a moment. And our words for extinguishing the chalice: we extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of humanity, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Announcements? Does anyone have any announcements? No? Okay.
I walk the unfrequented road with open eye and ear. I watch or feel the farmer load the bounty of the year. I face the hills, the stream, the wood, and feel with all akin. My heart expands their fortitude, and peace and joy flow in.
Thanks for coming, everybody, and thanks for Teresa for running the technology this morning.
Well, apparently all of the speakers aren't working, so I don't know what's going on with that, but thanks, Donna.
But we managed.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.